The old space station was full of noise and light, but mostly it was full of laughter. Aliens from many planets gathered there to watch the auction. They enjoyed mocking the human who stood alone in the crowded hall. Jake Carson, the human, looked small and weak among the tall and strange aliens. They pointed fingers, whispered, and laughed loudly. Why would a human waste money on old junk? A large green alien asked. Humans are weak. They do not belong here, said another with sharp teeth. Jake did not answer. He stayed quiet, eyes fixed on the auction table. He had come to this forgotten place with one hope, to find something that would change his fate. The auctioneer began selling old starships, broken machines, and forgotten weapons. Most were worthless scrap, but Jake's heart beat faster when he saw a small, dusty ship. It looked old, battered, and no one wanted it. That ship is scrap. Don't waste your money, human. The aliens laughed louder, but Jake knew better than to listen to the mocking crowd. He raised his hand and made a bid. Low and steady, the crowd gasped. No one expected a human to buy anything here, especially that ship. The auctioneer nodded and said, sold. To the human, Jake felt eyes burning into his back as he walked to claim his prize. The ship was dark and silent. Covered in dust and strange marks, aliens continued to mock him, calling it a coffin for a dead human dream. Jake did not care. He stepped inside the ship, feeling the cold metal under his hands. Inside, the ship smelled of old oil and silence. Lights flickered weakly, and the control panels were covered in dust. Jake pushed buttons, but nothing worked. He thought maybe it was just scrap, but something about the ship felt alive. He walked deeper inside, to a hidden door with strange glowing symbols. The aliens outside were still laughing, but inside, Jake's heart pounded with excitement. He reached out and touched the door, which slowly opened with a hiss. Inside the small room was an ancient armor, resting on a pedestal. It looked like no armor Jake had ever seen. It was smooth, shining with a strange blue light. Suddenly, the ship lights changed, and the room warmed. The armor seemed to glow brighter, and a soft hum filled the air. Jake stepped closer, feeling a strange power around him. He lifted a hand to touch the armor, and as his fingers brushed the metal, a wave of energy ran through his body. The door behind him closed suddenly with a loud sound. The aliens outside stopped laughing. Something had changed. Jake's eyes shone with new strength, and he felt a deep connection to the armor. He tried to move, but the armor began to wrap itself around his body like liquid metal. Panic rose in his chest, but he did not fight it. The armor fit perfectly, as if made just for him. A voice echoed in his mind, calm, deep, and old. "Welcome, Commander," it said. Jake gasped, unable to believe what was happening. He was just a human, weak and small, but now he wore the armor of an ancient warrior. The ship's systems woke up one by one, lights blinking faster, engines humming quietly outside. Alarms started ringing, and alien guards rushed toward the ship. The auction hall filled with shocked silence, then angry shouting. The aliens could no longer laugh. The human had become a threat. Jake stepped forward, feeling the power of the armor in every movement. He did not know what he could do, but the armor seemed to know. The door opened suddenly, and the alien guards entered. Weapons ready, Jake stood tall, heart pounding but calm. The largest guard shouted, "Give up, human. That armor is not yours." Jake raised his hand, and the armor shone brighter. A force pushed the guards back, and they stumbled. Surprised, one guard fired a weapon, but the shot stopped mid-air, frozen by an invisible shield. The auction hall fell silent once more. Eyes wide with fear and amazement, Jake realized the armor was protecting him, controlling parts of the ship. He was no longer just a human. He was something more. Something ancient. The crowd began to step back slowly, some whispering prayers. Others ready to run, Jake looked around. Feeling the weight of their stares, he did not know what the future held. But one thing was clear. The laughter was over. The human had found his power, and soon the galaxy would hear his name. As the ship hummed alive beneath him, Jake whispered, "This is only the beginning." The ancient armor felt alive on Jake's body, like it was breathing with him. He moved slowly at first, unsure of what to expect. The heavy metal plates slid and fit perfectly. Wrapping around his arms, legs, and chest, it felt strange but powerful, as if the armor was a part of him now. Jake tried to lift his hand, and a soft blue glow spread from his fingers. The ship's lights flickered, and machines started humming quietly. He looked around and saw screens turning on by themselves, showing star maps and strange symbols. The ship's AI, silent for centuries, was waking up because of him. A voice spoke softly in his mind. Clear and calm. "Welcome, Commander Carson," it said. Jake froze, shocked to hear the voice inside his head. Who are you?" He whispered. "I am the ship's system and guardian." "Of the armor," the voice answered. "You have been chosen to wear the armor and lead." Jake shook his head, not understanding. "Why me?" "I am just a human," he said. "The armor chooses by more than strength or race." The voice explained, "It searches for one with courage, heart, and the will to change fate." Outside the ship, rumors spread fast. The aliens who mocked Jake before were now watching him closely, their laughter gone, replaced by suspicion. They sent spies and guards to watch the ship, trying to find out what was happening inside. One small, quick alien managed to sneak on board and hid in a shadowed corner. Jake felt a sudden chill, sensing he was not alone. He turned slowly, trying to see the hidden watcher before the spy could move. The armor glowed brightly, and a sudden force threw the alien back. The spy hit the wall hard and lay still, stunned. Jake didn't know how the armor did it, but it protected him like a shield. The ship's AI spoke again. "Your body is weak, but the armor is strong. It moves to protect you when you do not expect it." Jake swallowed hard, feeling both fear and hope. He knew the alien mercenaries outside would not let this go easily. The armor was not just a suit, it was a weapon, a key to power long lost. In the stars, if Jake learned to use it well, he could change everything. But if he failed, the hunters would come and take it away. Or worse, kill him. The next day, the alien mercenary clan made a public challenge. They invited Jake to face their champion in the arena, a test of strength and skill. The crowd gathered once again, curious to see if the human was really more than a joke. Aliens whispered and placed bets, some hoping Jake would fail badly, others unsure what to expect. Jake stood in the center of the arena, the armor shining under the harsh lights. The champion, a giant alien with 4 arms and sharp claws, snarled at him. Jake's heart pounded, but he stood his ground. Feeling the armor's energy flow through him, the fight began with a roar. The alien charging forward, claws ready to strike. Jake tried to move fast, but the armor took over, shifting his body smoothly. He dodged the first blow easily, surprising the crowd. The armor's movements were quick and perfect. As if it knew the best way to fight, Jake barely understood what was happening. But he felt safe and strong with every step. The armor adjusted and helped him block attacks. The champion hit hard, but Jake blocked with a glowing shield formed by the armor. A sudden punch from Jake sent the alien flying backward, crashing into the arena wall. Silence filled the arena, broken only by the heavy breathing of the 2 fighters. The crowd stared in disbelief. The human was winning. The mercenary clan's leader growled in anger and motioned for the fight to continue. The champion charged again, more carefully this time. But Jake's armor was ready. Suddenly, a burst of blue light shot from Jake's hand. Knocking the alien to the ground, the arena erupted in shock and cheers. Some aliens yelling in fear, others in respect. Jake stood tall, breathing hard, but, feeling a new confidence, he had proven he was no longer weak or powerless. The armor had chosen him for a reason, and now the galaxy was watching. Jake knew the mercenaries would not forget this defeat. They would come back stronger, with more soldiers and weapons, but he was ready to learn, to fight, and to survive. Later, in the quiet of the ship's control room, Jake looked at the glowing armor. He touched the smooth metal and whispered, "Who were you before?" The AI answered, "I was worn by the greatest warrior of a lost empire, a protector of worlds, feared and respected by many. Now, that legacy passes to you." Jake closed his eyes. Feeling the weight of that history, he was just a simple man before. But now he carried the hopes of a forgotten past. The laughter of the aliens was gone, replaced by a new challenge to become a legend. And this was only the beginning of Jake's journey. A journey to prove that even a human, mocked and small, could change the fate of the stars. News of Jake's victory spread quickly through the space station. The auction yard was no longer just a place of laughter and mockery. Now, it buzzed with nervous whispers and tense glances. The human who wore the ancient armor had upset the balance. He had made powerful enemies, and they were not happy. The elite mercenary clan, known as the Shadow Talons, ruled the stations underground. Their leader, Varkos, was a large alien with cold eyes and a cruel smile. He hated the idea that a weak human could defeat his champion. Varkos sent out a public challenge to Jake, a fight for honor and power. The entire station gathered in the grand arena to watch. The message was clear. Jake had to prove himself, or be destroyed. Jake stood in the center of the arena again, the armor glowing softly. This time, he felt the weight of thousands of eyes on him. The crowd was bigger, and the mood was tense. No one laughed this time. They waited for the fight. To begin, Varkos stepped forward, his voice loud and clear. "You may have won once, human, but this time, you face me." The crowd gasped. Varkos was not just a leader, but a legendary fighter. His size alone was enough to intimidate most opponents. Jake clenched his fists, his heart beating fast. He had no choice but to accept the challenge. The armor felt alive again, its energy flowing stronger than ever. The ship's AI whispered in his mind, "Trust the armor. It will guide you." The fight started with a sudden roar. Varkos charged like a wild beast, his claws sharp and deadly. Jake tried to react, but the armor moved before he could think. It twisted his body, dodging Varkos's first strike. The armor's energy pulsed, forming glowing shields around Jake. Varkos swung again and again, but the armor blocked every blow. The crowd watched in amazement as the human moved with speed and grace. Jake felt his confidence grow. The armor was teaching him how to fight. Each strike he dodged gave him more knowledge. He could feel the armor's memories flowing into him. Suddenly, Jake lashed out with a punch. The armor extended energy claws that cut through the air. The blow hit Varkos's arm, making him roar in pain. But the leader was not finished. He smiled cruelly and pulled out a hidden weapon, a glowing whip. The whip crackled with energy, and Varkos swung it toward Jake. Jake tried to block with his shield, but the whip burned through it. He was pulled forward suddenly, his feet losing grip on the arena floor. Varkos grinned and prepared for the final strike. But then, the armor reacted again. It released a powerful pulse that threw Varkos back. The whip shattered, and the crowd gasped. Jake stood tall, breathing hard but steady. Varkos's eyes burned with fury. "This is not over, human," he said through clenched teeth. He gestured, and his clan rushed into the arena. The Shadow Talons surrounded Jake, weapons ready. Jake knew he was outnumbered, but he felt no fear. The armor hummed with power. and the ship's AI spoke calmly. Use the ship's systems, Jake. You are not alone. Suddenly, the arena floor opened beneath the mercenaries. Traps and energy nets activated, capturing some of them. Jake used the armor's strength to fight back, blocking blows and striking hard. He moved faster than he ever thought possible. The crowd cheered for the human warrior, amazed at his skill. But Jake also saw the pain in the eyes of the captured mercenaries. He realized that this fight was bigger than just him. The armor was not just a weapon, it was a symbol of hope for those who were weak, and a warning to those who used power to bully others after the fight. Jake stood in the center of the ruined arena. The Shadow Talons were defeated, but not destroyed. Varkos had disappeared in the chaos. Jake knew the clan would return, stronger and more dangerous. The alien girl he had met before appeared at his side. Her eyes were full of worry and respect. "You have done well, human," she said softly. "But this is only the beginning." Jake nodded, understanding the truth in her words. He was no longer just a lonely man at an auction yard. He was the bearer of an ancient power. The armor had chosen him for a reason, and now he had to learn what that reason was. As the crowd dispersed, many whispered about the human with the glowing armor. Some feared him, others admired him. But all agreed on one thing: Jake Carson had changed the game, and the galaxy would never look at humans the same way again. That night, Jake returned to the ship, tired but alive. He removed the armor slowly, feeling its weight to leave him. The AI spoke gently. "Rest now, Commander. Tomorrow will bring new challenges." Jake looked out at the stars, feeling both small and powerful. He did not know what lay ahead, but he was ready to face it. For the first time, he believed he could change his fate. Jake sat in the ship's small control room, still feeling the weight of the armor on his body, but now he was alone. The crowd and the fighting far behind him. The ship was quiet, except for the soft hum of machines awakening. He looked around at the ancient panels glowing softly. This ship was unlike any he had seen before. It felt alive, waiting for something or someone. Jake spoke quietly. "Can you hear me?" The ship's AI answered gently in his mind. "Yes, Commander, I hear you." Jake blinked in surprise. This was not just a ship, it was a companion. It listened to his voice and responded without words. It was as if the ship had waited for a human like him for centuries. He stood and walked to a large, dusty window outside. The stars stretched endlessly, cold and distant. The ship was far from the busy stations and the noisy auctions. Here, it was calm. But Jake knew that peace would not last. He returned to the control panel and touched a glowing symbol. The ship responded by lighting up a map of stars and planets. Jake saw routes marked in red danger zones. The ship was warning him about the hunters still searching for the armor. It showed distant fleets moving fast through space, closing in. A sudden alert sounded sharp and urgent. Jake jumped back as a warning flashed on the screen. "Unknown vessel approaching fast," the AI said. The ship's engines started humming louder. Ready to move, Jake felt a rush of fear, but also excitement. He touched a control, and the ship lifted off smoothly. Outside, the old space station shrank away behind them. The stars blurred as the ship moved faster than anything Jake had flown. Before, the approaching vessel was close now, its weapons glowing bright. Jake could see alien figures through the windows. They were bounty hunters, cruel, experienced killers sent to take the armor and him. Jake gripped the controls, unsure what to do. The AI spoke calmly. "Trust me, Commander. I will protect you." Suddenly, the ship's weapons powered up, firing energy beams that stopped the hunters in their tracks. The hunters fired back, but the ship's shields held strong. Jake watched in awe as the ship moved with a life of its own dodging attacks and firing precise shots. The armor on his body thrummed with energy. He realized the ship and armor were connected, part of the same ancient power. After a fierce battle, the hunters broke off and fled. Jake's heart pounded with adrenaline. He was alive. But he knew the danger was far from over. Later, while the ship cruised in silence, Jake met the alien girl again. She had come aboard quietly and stood beside him. Her eyes were serious as she spoke. "You must know the truth about the armor." Jake nodded, eager to learn. She told him about the ancient empire that once ruled the galaxy. It's a race of warriors who protected peace but were destroyed by their enemies. The armor Jake wore was a symbol of their strength and hope. It was said to awaken only for the one who could lead the last stand against darkness. Jake felt the weight of her words deep inside. He was not just a lucky human. He was chosen for a great purpose. The ship's AI spoke again softly. "Your journey is only beginning." Jake looked out at the stars and whispered, "I will be ready." But deep in space, far beyond the ship's sensors, a dark fleet stirred. Hunters who would stop at nothing to claim the armor's power. Their leader, a shadowy figure with glowing eyes, smiled cruelly. "The human thinks he is ready. Soon we will see." Back on the ship, Jake stood tall. Feeling stronger and more alive, he touched the armor and felt the energy flow through him. The ship hummed in answer, as if sharing his courage. He was no longer just a man. He was a commander, a warrior, and a symbol. The stars outside seemed to shine brighter. Jake knew that whatever came next, he would face it with the strength of the ancient armor and the heart of a human. Jake felt the calm of space slip away as a new warning flashed on the ship's control panel. The sensors showed multiple fast-moving vessels approaching from the far edges of the system. These were not ordinary ships. They were hunters, deadly and relentless. The armor on Jake's body vibrated softly, as if sensing the danger. The alien girl stood beside him, her eyes sharp and serious. "They are coming for you, Jake," she said. "For the armor and for the power it holds." Jake nodded, his heart heavy but steady. He knew he could not run forever. The ship's AI began preparing defenses, shields flaring and weapons charging. Jake moved quickly to the command bridge, his fingers flying over controls he was still learning. The hunter ships closed in fast, their weapons glowing bright and deadly. Jake felt the weight of every second as the battle drew near. Suddenly, the ship's alarms screamed, warning of incoming missiles. Jake hit a button, and the ship launched countermeasures that exploded into bright flares. The missiles were destroyed in bursts of light, but the hunters were not giving up. They pressed closer, firing wave after wave of energy blasts. The armor glowed fiercely, wrapping Jake in a shield stronger than before. The ship responded instantly, weaving through the attack with speed and precision. Jake felt the ship move like a living thing, protecting him with every twist and turn. In the midst of the battle, Jake noticed movement in the ship's lower decks. He hurried down and found the alien girl helping a small group of frightened creatures, young alien pets left behind during the chaos. Their eyes were wide with fear, and they trembled in the cold metal corridors. Jake's heart ached for them, and he quickly gathered them into safe compartments back on the bridge. The ship's AI spoke softly. "Commander, the hunters are powerful, but their true strength lies in their numbers and weapons. We must be careful." Jake nodded, determination burning in his eyes. He had to protect more than just himself now. The lives inside the ship depended on him. The battle continued for hours, each wave of attackers stronger than the last. Jake learned to trust the armor in the ship more with every moment. The armor responded to his thoughts and feelings, moving his body faster than his mind could keep up. He blocked and struck without hesitation, feeling like a force beyond human limits. But with every victory, Jake noticed changes in himself. The armor was not just protecting him, it was changing him. His muscles felt stronger, his senses sharper, but sometimes he felt a strange pull inside, as if the armor's ancient spirit was trying to take control. One night, as the ship rested behind a hidden asteroid, Nay sat alone. He looked at his hands, still glowing faintly with armor energy. He wondered if he could keep control, or if he would lose himself to the power. The alien girl approached quietly and sat beside him. "You are stronger than you think," she said softly. "But you must never forget who you are." Jake smiled faintly, feeling the warmth of her words. "I want to protect everyone, not just fight," he said. The girl nodded. "That is why the armor chose you?" Suddenly, a sharp alarm broke the silence. The AI spoke urgently. Hunter ships detected near the hidden colony. Jake stood quickly, the weight of responsibility pressing down. He knew the final test was coming, and he had to be ready as the hunters closed in. Jake prepared the ship and armor for battle, but deep in the dark reaches of space, the hunter's leader watched the approaching ship with cruel eyes. "He thinks he can hide and fight, but he is only a human," the leader sneered. "Our next attack will end this." Jake looked out at the stars, feeling a fire ignite inside. He was no longer afraid. With the ancient armor and the ship behind him, he was ready to face the hunters and protect all who depended on him. The ship moved silently through the darkness of space, guided by an old star map the AI had uncovered. Jake watched the glowing dots on the screen, leading them to a hidden planet far from known systems. This planet was covered in ruins, old buildings broken by time and storms. The air was thin but breathable, and strange plants grew between the cracked stones. Jake stepped onto the ground. Feeling the weight of history all around him, the alien girl followed, her eyes wide with wonder. "This place was once a home for your people," she said softly. "Humans ruled parts of the galaxy long ago, but something made them disappear." Jake walked slowly among the ruins, touching broken statues and faded signs. He saw symbols that matched the armor's designs. The memories of the armor stirred inside him, showing flashes of battles, peace, and power. He saw warriors standing tall, defending worlds with strength and honor. This armor was made for a king, the AI said in his mind, a protector, who led humanity's last stand against enemies that wished to destroy all. Jake felt the truth deep in his bones. He was not just a man wearing old armor. He was part of a legacy that had been lost to time. Suddenly, the ship's sensors beeped loudly. Jake turned to see a small fleet of ships approaching fast. The hunters had tracked him here, unwilling to let the armor go. Jake's heart beat faster, but he stood firm, the weight of the past giving him strength. The alien girl spoke urgently. "We must prepare. This is where the final battle will be fought." Jake nodded, the ruins around them turning from quiet memories to a battlefield. He and the girl worked quickly, using the ship's technology to set defenses among the stones. They placed energy, shields and traps, turning the ancient ruins into a fortress as the hunters landed, their ships casting long shadows over the broken towers. Jake felt the armor tighten around him, responding to the coming fight. The lead hunter, a tall figure cloaked in dark armor, stepped forward. He spoke with a voice cold as ice. "Give us the armor, human, and we may spare your life." Jake looked at him, eyes burning with determination. "I will never give up this armor," he said firmly. The hunters laughed, but their smiles faded as Jake activated the armor's full power. Energy surged around him like a storm, lighting the ruins with blue light. The battle began with a roar, weapons firing and ships launching into the sky. Jake fought with all he had, the armor moving with him like a second skin. He dodged blasts and struck back with energy fists. The alien girl fought by his side, her skills sharp and fearless. As the fight went on, Jake saw his strength growing. The armor's power was becoming his own, but he also felt a deep connection to the planet beneath him. It was as if the land itself was helping him fight. The ancient warrior spirits seemed to rise with the armor's call. The hunters pushed hard, but Jake refused to fall. With each blow, he remembered the legacy he carried, the hope of a lost empire, waiting for a warrior to rise again. Finally, the lead hunter fell, defeated by Jake's fierce will. The others retreated, their ships vanishing into the stars. Jake stood alone among the ruins. Breathing heavily but victorious, the alien girl smiled. "You have done what no one thought possible," she said. Jake looked at the broken statues and whispered, "This is just the beginning." The armor had chosen him not only to fight, but to restore humanity's place in the galaxy. He was the first human commander in thousands of years, and he would lead the last stand for a forgotten legacy. As the ship prepared to leave the ruined planet, Jake felt hope for the future. He was no longer just a man. He was a symbol of strength, courage, and rebirth. The galaxy was watching, and this time, humans would not be mocked or forgotten. The stars stretched endlessly above Jake as his ship approached the battleground. The hunters had returned, stronger and more furious than ever. Massive warships blocked the sky, weapons charging and ready to fire. Jake stood in the ship's command room, the ancient armor shining bright around him. He was no longer the weak human they once laughed at. Now, he was the bearer of a power that had not been seen in centuries. The alien girl stood beside him, steady and calm. "We fight together," she said softly. "For the future." Jake nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. Outside, the ship's AI ran final checks on shields and weapons. The battle was about to begin, and it would decide more than just their lives. It would decide the fate of humanity's legacy in the galaxy. The hunter's leader appeared on the ships screens, his face cruel and full of hate. "You cannot win, human," he snarled. "Surrender the armor or die." Jake met his gaze without fear. "I will fight for every star and every life." The first wave hit like a storm. Energy blasts rained down, shaking the ship. Jake moved in the armor, feeling its strength in every step and breath. He fired back with glowing fists and energy beams. The ship responded perfectly, dodging attacks and striking with deadly precision. The alien girl piloted a smaller fighter alongside Jake's ship. Together, they formed a shield no enemy could break. But the hunters were relentless. They unleashed their deadliest weapons, trying to overwhelm the defenses inside the ship. Jake heard the AI's calm voice. "Commander, the armor is reaching its limit. You must be careful." Jake gritted his teeth, pushing forward. He was no longer just a man in armor. He was a force of nature. The battle raged for hours, the sky glowing with fire and energy. Jake's movements became faster, sharper. The armor answered every command. He blocked blasts, crushed weapons, and moved like lightning. Finally, the leader of the hunters boarded Jake's ship in a desperate last move. The two warriors faced each other in the glowing command room. Their fight was fierce, a clash of power and will. Jake felt the armor's ancient strength flow through him. With one final strike, he defeated the leader. The hunter's fleet fell back. Defeated and broken, Jake stood tall, the stars shining behind him. He had won not just a battle, but respect. The galaxy would never mock humans again. The alien girl smiled and took his hand. "You have become more than legend, Jake," she said. He looked out at the stars and whispered, "I wore the armor, but it was the heart that made me strong." As the ship sailed into the vast unknown, Jake knew his journey was just beginning, for he was now the human who wore the stars, a symbol of hope, strength, and a new future for humanity.